Hello and good morning. How are you doing today, Holly?
Hello and good morning. I'm doing very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Absolutely fantastic right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the sun is always bright.
Love it, love it. I loved my time down there when we were with the Panthers. It was so great.
You have written a book here that is going to connect a lot of people's lives together because so many times it's become the silence that people walk into because they don't want to deal with it. But RJ really brings forward a story with you that really has, like I said, that connection.
Oh yes, I agree. So important for RJ's voice to be heard and felt, and for his presence to be seen in the book. Charlie Makes a Splash. We wrote a companion piece for Charlie Makes a Splash probably about 12 years ago with
Wow.
our twin sister point of view, and it was just important, especially now, to hear from people who are actually on the spectrum and what they think. And that's just a great point of view. So I'm so glad that he agreed to be part of this book.
To bring in the water, because I know what water does for me, and it really, and I could so relate with everything that Charlie was going through with water, the discovery and getting up close and personal and stuff like that. What's your connection with the water or the journey through the water?
Well, when RJ was diagnosed with autism, he was 3 years old. We heard a lot of things that he would never do. We got a very hopeless diagnosis, and it was a tough time. And one of the things that he really struggled to do was make friends and connect with people. He has a twin sister, and he, was disconnected from her. That's sort of how we started to see his autism, develop. But when we would have swim class with other kids, all the other kids would be chatting and talking to each other, and RJ was kind of off to the side, not really included in the conversations. And the wild thing was the swim teacher was like, your son is a phenomenal swimmer. Because we had a real kind of a savage swim teacher. Those swim teachers that just drop the kids in. For parents, it's just the scariest thing. But, it's going to end up great. They're going to be fine. But it's just a really hard thing. RJ was the only kid not crying. He was the only kid that when you put him in the water, he was like a guppy. There was something about the water on his body. There was something about sensorially how it made him feel. And then that really extended to all things water, whether it's, surfing or going, or when it rains, he wants to go out in the rain, or whether it's the aquarium. So there's just something about water that relaxes him and makes him feel good in his body. And so that was one of the first things that I noticed that really set him apart from other children his age.
And you bring that up in this story, through the story of Charlie, and even using the word guppy and stuff like that, because I chuckled when the very second you said that, because I know what's going on in the story while this is happening. So you have brought a personal experience into a story form that really is going to affect other people's lives.
Yes, and I'm so excited about it because I think that as a children's book author, I think our goal is to obviously entertain children, but what can we teach them?
Yeah.
How can we start to normalize things that, develop a stigma as we become hardened, crotchety adults? We get stuck in our ways, and we don't see diversity and differences and neurodiversity certainly as a positive thing or as something that, we should embrace. So that's what's so important, I think, about Charlie Makes the Splash. And then we have this great back matter of resources in the back of the book. So for families impacted by autism or just getting this diagnosis, it's a great guide because I didn't have that when we got diagnosed. There was no Welcome to Autism handbook. And I always felt like I wanted to be able to provide that for other families.
My brother was such a great teacher for me in the way that with his challenges in life, he kept saying, you still have to go. You still have to go. In other words, nothing was ever going to get in his way. That's the same thing as Charlie as well as RJ here, is that nothing stands in their way. Just let me go.
Yeah, just let me go and let me be me.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this world is complicated, so I can let you go, but will the world let you be who you are?
Right.
So for me, it's really about, I always say that. I say in RJ, I would never change RJ for the world, but I would try to change the world for RJ because I want people to be more accepting and understanding of who it is. So that's one of our main goals with Charlie Makes a Splash, is really promoting that understanding and allowing him to go and do what he needs to do, and allowing him to process the world in his own way.
And there are messages in here for parents as well. And I'm so proud of you for putting this in there. Ditch the denial. I mean, because I mean, you speak a truth here when it comes to really, you know, working with your children and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say ditch the denial. I wish someone had said that to me and my husband when we got the diagnosis, but it's hard when you first get it and you're trying to process it. So that's why I wanted to write in the back matter things that I wish someone had told me. And the denial, it's a very natural thing, because you don't, you know, especially if you're rookie parents like we were with these twins, you know, you just don't know what you don't know. And when you get sort of a hopeless diagnosis, it's hard to, you know, just jump out of denial. And you question everything. There weren't a lot of answers. So that is why it was so important for us to include this in the back, and to have words of encouragement and tools and resources to try to process this whole journey.
I love RJ's mantra. I may have autism, but autism doesn't have me. That says a lot. That opens up the door for a lot of people right now.
It does. And, you know, autism is a part of who he is. It's not everything. It's not all of who he is, but it's a part. It's a part that accepting has helped him cope in this world, knowing what it is, understanding why, how and why he functions, understanding why people have a hard time connecting with him, which is the way he puts it, which is, I think, is pretty interesting. It's not he has a hard time connecting with them, but a hard time connecting with him. And just any time that you have any kind of situation where you just want people to sort of know ahead of time or understand and be compassionate to it. So Charlie Makes a Splash is sort of the beginning of letting children know that people with autism, people on the autism spectrum, or just people who with special needs have different ways of moving in the world, and sometimes they just swim to their own rhythm, and that's okay.
Your words and your activation reach well beyond the book. I mean, you've got Holly Rod the Foundation, and it's one of those things where because people are going to read this book and they're going to want more answers. They're going to want, you know, to be able to step into an area where they can learn further into their journeys. What goes on at Holly Rod Foundation?
Well, Holly Rod was set up originally for families impacted by Parkinson's when the twins were, I think they were just born. So we didn't have the autism diagnosis yet, but we did have a Parkinson's diagnosis in the family. And we saw back then a lot of people struggling with this neurological disorder disease that they just did not understand. And so we helped with that. And then when we got the diagnosis of autism, you spent a while in denial, like we talked about earlier. But eventually we knew we had to roll up our sleeves and start intervening with RJ's development and get things going. And then we knew that we had this philanthropic foundation, and how could we help other families impacted by autism? We first had to get our stuff in order. You know what I mean? We had to get ourselves right, and then we knew we could help others when it came to autism. So the foundation now supports families impacted by autism and Parkinson's, and we have made RJ's Place, which is a compassionate care center and job training center for families impacted by autism.
Wow. I love your words. I wouldn't change you for the world, but I will never stop trying to change the world for you. I can relate with that because, I mean, like you said, will the world embrace it? I remember walking with my brother and people would just stand there and stare at us. And it was one of those that, Teddy, just be patient, be patient. Let's walk through this together.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. You just want the world to understand who your kid is, so that when they're out there without you, you're going to run into someone compassionate. And so that is the goal, you know, just to continue to try to keep changing people one by one. I'm hoping that Charlie Makes a Splash is a great tool for helping young people and their parents and their teachers and their communities understand what autism is and how to be around somebody who's impacted by it. And
it's to me in reading the book, it wasn't just about autism. It's about we all have something. We all have something. This helps everybody understand there's something.
Yes, we all have something. We all love something, and let's be compassionate and kind towards each other, because we don't always know what we have, but there's always, that's the one thing we have in common.
Yep.
Just imagine how much better this world would be if we allowed each other the space to be different or to struggle.
You bet. Please come back to the show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you, Holly.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You be brilliant and continue with this journey forward, because you're changing lives.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a great day.